You keep checking the clock, don't you? Watching other people your age buying houses, getting promotions, finding their soulmate, starting families, launching businesses that seem to explode overnight. And there you are, scrolling through their highlight reels at 2 a.m., wondering what's wrong with you. Why haven't you figured it out yet? Why does everyone else seem to have this invisible manual for life that you never received? Here's what nobody tells you about timing, about readiness, about being exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment. The people who seem ahead of you aren't actually ahead. They're just on a different track entirely. And that track you think you should be on? It might not even be yours to begin with. I'm about to show you why everything you believe about being late in life is a carefully constructed illusion. Why the pressure you feel to catch up is actually keeping you from recognizing the profound synchronicity that brought you to this exact moment. And why the version of yourself that you're desperately trying to become already exists, waiting for you to stop running toward an imaginary finish line and start walking your authentic path. But first, let me tell you about Sarah, 28 years old, watching her college friends post photos of their second kids while she's still figuring out what she wants to do with her life. She felt like she was drowning in her own inadequacy until she discovered something that changed everything. The most successful people she admired hadn't followed linear paths at all. They'd wandered, struggled, started over, failed spectacularly, and found their breakthrough at ages that would make most people think it was too late. Ray Kroc was 52 when he founded McDonald's. Laura Ingalls Wilder was 64 when she published her first Little House book. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he franchised KFC. Vera Wang was 40 when she entered fashion. These weren't exceptions to some rule about early, far more powerful, divine success. They were examples of something timing. Your life isn't behind schedule because there is no schedule. There's only your unique unfolding, your specific preparation period, your individual curriculum designed to give you exactly what you need when you need it. Every delay you've experienced, every debt calibrated to prepare you for what's all you've taken, every moment when you felt stuck or lost has been precisely coming next. The universe operates on perfect timing, not human timing. While you've been worried about being late, reality has been orchestrating circumstances, aligning opportunities, and preparing you for moments you can't even imagine yet. That job rejection that felt devastating, it redirected you towards something better. That relationship that didn't work out, it taught you what you actually need in love. That business idea that failed, it gave you skills you'll need for the one that succeeds. Most people spend their entire lives trying to force outcomes on their timeline instead of recognizing the intelligence of the unfolding that's already happening. They exhaust themselves, swimming against a current that was designed to carry them to exactly where they need to be. They interpret delays as denials, obstacles as punishments, and waiting periods that they're somehow as evidence broken or behind. But what if the waiting wasn't wasted time? What if every moment of uncertainty was actually preparation? What if every period of struggle was strengthening muscles you'd need later? What if your entire journey up to this point has been perfectly designed to give you something that people who took the conventional path could never possess? Think about the skills you've developed because things didn't go according to plan. The resilience you've built through setbacks, the empathy you've gained through struggle, the wisdom you've acquired through experience, the authentic self you've discovered by being forced to look inward when external validation wasn't available. These aren't consolation prizes for being late. These are superpowers that early success could never have given you. The people who seem to have it all figured out at 25 often hit walls at 40 that they're completely unprepared for. They built their identity around external achievements without developing internal resilience. They followed scripts without discovering their authentic voice. They optimized for speed without building depth. When life inevitably presents challenges that can't be solved with the same strategies that brought early success, they find themselves starting over anyway, but without the inner resources that come from navigating uncertainty. You, on the other hand, have been developing those inner resources all along. Every time you've had to start over, you've proven to yourself that you can survive uncertainty. Every time you've faced rejection, you've learned that your worth isn't determined by external validation. Every time you've had to wait, you've developed patience and trust in timing beyond your control. This isn't about settling for less or making excuses for lack of progress. This is about recognizing that true success, lasting fulfillment, and authentic achievement require a different kind of preparation than most people realize. It requires becoming the kind of person who can handle what you're asking for. It requires developing the internal capacity to receive and maintain what you're trying to create. Most people want the outcome without the transformation. They want the relationship without becoming someone capable of deep intimacy. They want the business success without developing the character to handle responsibility and pressure. They want the recognition without doing the inner work to remain grounded when it arrives. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, won't give you what you want until you become who you need to be to handle it responsibly. That's why your timing is perfect. Not because you're getting what you want when you want it, but because you're being prepared to receive what you're truly meant to have in a way that serves your highest good and the highest good of everyone your life touches. Every spiritual tradition speaks of divine timing because it's a fundamental law of how manifestation actually works. Seeds don't sprout the moment they're planted. Babies aren't born the moment they're conceived. Fruit doesn't ripen the moment it appears on the tree. There are natural cycles, seasons, and phases that can't be rushed without compromising the quality of what emerges. Your dreams, your goals, your deepest desires are following the same natural law. They're ripening in the invisible realm, gathering the energy and circumstances necessary to manifest in physical form. The fact that you can't see the progress doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means the most important work is being done behind the scenes. Consider how many times in your life something wonderful happened at exactly the moment you needed it most, even though it felt late by your original timeline. The opportunity that appeared just when you were ready to handle it. The person who entered your life precisely when you had space to receive them. The insight that came exactly when you had the maturity to apply it. These weren't coincidences. They were evidence of the intelligent timing that governs all of life. But here's what makes this even more extraordinary. The version of you that's worried about being late isn't the version of you that's going to achieve what you're seeking. That version is operating from scarcity, comparison, and fear. The version of you that will create the life you desire operates from abundance, authenticity, and trust. The gap between these two versions isn't closed by working harder or moving faster. It's closed by allowing the transformation that's already happening within you to complete itself. Every day you choose trust over anxiety, authenticity over performance, patience over rushing. You're becoming more aligned with the version of yourself that naturally attracts what you seek. This isn't about waiting passively. It's about active alignment, conscious becoming, intentional growth that happens on soul time rather than clock time. The most successful people understand this instinctively. They don't chase opportunities. They become the kind of person opportunities seek out. They don't force timing. They align with it. They don't compete with others. They focus on becoming so authentically themselves that comparison becomes irrelevant. This is why your perceived lateness is actually your greatest advantage. While others were following prescribed paths, you were discovering your authentic path. While others were meeting external expectations, you were learning to trust your internal guidance. While others were achieving conventional success, you were developing unconventional wisdom. The pressure to catch up that you feel isn't coming from reality. It's coming from a story you've been told about how life should unfold. A story written by people who never lived your life, faced your challenges, or carried your dreams. This story insists there's a right age for everything, a proper sequence of achievements, a universal timeline that everyone should follow. But this story is fiction. It's a collective agreement to believe in limitations that don't actually exist. It's a shared hallucination that keeps people trapped in comparison rather than celebrating their unique journey. The moment you recognize this story for what it is, you reclaim your power to write a different narrative. Your life isn't unfolding incorrectly. It's unfolding intelligently. Every twist, every turn, every unexpected chapter has been preparing you for something specific. The skills you developed during your lost years, the perspective you gained through hardship, the strength you built through uncertainty. These aren't accidents. They're curriculum. Think about the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly. During the transformation process, if you looked inside the chrysalis, you wouldn't see a butterfly slowly forming. You'd see what appears to be complete dissolution, cellular chaos, a breakdown of everything the caterpillar once was. But that apparent destruction is actually reconstruction at the deepest level. New structures are forming that will enable capabilities the caterpillar never possessed. This is what's been happening in your life during the periods that felt like nothing was working. The apparent setbacks, the confusing delays, the times of failure. They were evidence of metam when everything seemed to fall apart. These weren't evidence orphasis. Parts of your old identity were dissolving so that new capacities could emerge. The butterfly doesn't emerge from the chrysalis worried that it's late compared to other butterflies. It emerges when the transformation is complete, with perfect timing that serves its highest expression. Your emergence follows the same natural law. You're not behind. You're becoming. Every person you admire who seems to have perfect timing actually went through their own periods of uncertainty, confusion, and apparent delay. The difference is that they learned to trust the process instead of fighting it. They understood that readiness isn't something you declare. It's something that declares itself through you when all the necessary elements have aligned. Your readiness isn't determined by your age, your resume, or your relationship status. It's determined by your internal preparation, your energetic alignment, your capacity to handle what you're calling into your life. Some people are ready for certain things at 20. Others aren't ready until 40 or 60 or beyond. Neither path is superior. They're simply different expressions of the same intelligence that knows exactly what each soul needs for its optimal development. The universe doesn't make mistakes with timing because the universe operates outside of linear time. From this expanded perspective, everything is happening in perfect coordination. Your delays serve purposes you can't see yet. Your detours lead to destinations you never could have planned. Your struggles develop capacities that success alone never could. Consider how many of your greatest strengths came from your most challenging periods. How many of your deepest insights emerged from your darkest moments? How many of your most authentic relationships formed during times when you had nothing to offer except your genuine self? These weren't coincidences. They were the universe showing you that your timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't feel perfect to your limited perspective. The anxiety about being late is actually a signal that you're on the verge of a breakthrough. It's the tension that builds right before expansion occurs. It's your soul recognizing that transformation is imminent, and your ego feeling threatened by the unknown that's approaching. This discomfort isn't evidence that something's wrong. It's evidence that something's about to shift. Most people experience this pre-breakthrough anxiety and interpret it as confirmation that they're failing or falling behind. They use it as fuel for more striving, more forcing, more desperate attempts to catch up to an imaginary standard. But this only delays the natural unfolding that's trying to occur. The more you fight the current, the longer it takes to reach your destination. What if instead of fighting this feeling, you recognized it as a sign that you're exactly where you need to be? What if the discomfort of not having arrived yet is actually the discomfort of being about to arrive? What if your impatience is a signal that your patience is about to pay off in ways you never expected? The people who achieve extraordinary things don't do so by rushing through their development. They do so by fully inhabiting each stage of their journey, extracting every lesson, developing every capacity, becoming thoroughly prepared for what's coming next. They understand that trying to skip steps only creates gaps that must eventually be filled. Your path has been perfectly designed to give you everything you need, exactly when you need it. The connections you haven't made yet, the opportunities that haven't appeared, the breakthroughs that haven't occurred, they're all coordinating behind the scenes, waiting for the moment when your readiness meets universal timing. This doesn't mean you should be passive or stop taking action. It means you should take action from alignment rather than desperation. It means you should move forward with trust rather than fear. It means you should pursue your goals while surrendering your attachment to when and how they manifest. The most powerful thing you can do right now is stop measuring your progress against other people's timelines and start measuring it against your own growth. Stop asking why it's taking so long, and start asking what you're learning along the way. Stop focusing on what hasn't happened yet, and start appreciating what's developing within you right now. Every day, you're becoming more of who you're meant to be. Every experience is adding to your wisdom. Every challenge is strengthening your character. Every moment of uncertainty is deepening your faith. This isn't preparation for your real life. This is your real life, unfolding with perfect intelligence, even when that intelligence is beyond your current understanding. The question isn't whether you're ready for what's coming. The question is whether you're willing to recognize that what's coming has been preparing itself for you with the same precision that you've been unknowingly preparing yourself for it. There's a dance happening between your becoming and your receiving that operates according to laws far more sophisticated than anything your rational mind could orchestrate. Think about how a master chef doesn't rush the rising of bread. They understand that certain processes have their own intelligence, their own timing, their own requirements that can't be forced without destroying the very thing they're trying to create. The yeast needs time to work. The gluten needs time to develop. The flavors need time to marry. Any attempt to accelerate the process results in something less than what was possible with patience. Your life follows the same principles. There are elements of your story that are still fermenting, still developing, still organizing themselves into the perfect conditions for your next chapter. The relationships that will support your growth are finding their way to you. The opportunities that align with your authentic gifts are taking shape. The circumstances that will allow your deepest purpose to emerge are crystallizing in ways you can't perceive from your current vantage point. But here's what most people miss about divine timing. It's not just about waiting for external conditions to align. It's about internal conditions reaching the right state of readiness. Every frustration you've felt about your pace, every moment of impatience with your progress, every comparison that left you feeling inadequate has been sculpting your character in ways that rushed success never could. The person who gets everything they want at 25 hasn't developed the gratitude of someone who waited until 35. The entrepreneur who succeeds on their first try hasn't developed the resilience of someone who failed 3 times before finding their breakthrough. The couple who met their soulmate in college hasn't developed the self-knowledge of someone who spent their 20s learning what they actually need in partnership. Your delays haven't been punishments. They've been education. Your setbacks haven't been failures. They've been preparation. Your periods of confusion haven't been evidence of being lost. They've been invitations to develop your inner compass so thoroughly that you'll never lose your way again. Consider the oak tree that takes decades to reach maturity, while the bamboo shoots up in months. Which one withstands the storms better? Which one provides shelter for generations? Which one develops the deep root system that allows it to thrive in conditions that would topple faster-growing plants? Your slow growth isn't a disadvantage. It's the development of unshakable foundations. There's something profound that happens when you stop trying to catch up and start celebrating where you are. Your energy shifts from desperate reaching to magnetic presence. Instead of chasing opportunities, you begin attracting them. Instead of forcing outcomes, you start allowing them to unfold naturally. This shift in energy is what changes everything, and it can only happen when you release the illusion that you're behind. The most successful people aren't the ones who moved fastest. They're the ones who moved most authentically. They didn't optimize for speed. They optimized for alignment. They didn't compete with others' timelines. They honored their own rhythm. They understood that their unique path would naturally lead to unique outcomes that couldn't be achieved by following someone else's blueprint. Your path has been preparing you for something specific that requires your particular combination of experiences, skills, and perspectives. The job you didn't get taught you something you'll need for the business you'll start. The relationship that ended showed you patterns you needed to heal before meeting your actual partner. The years you spent exploring different interests weren't wasted time. They were research for the calling that integrates everything you've learned. Every person you've met, every book you've read, every experience you've had, every mistake you've made, every success you've achieved has been contributing to a unique database of knowledge and wisdom that no one else possesses. This isn't random accumulation. This is purposeful preparation for a contribution that only you can make. The timing of your breakthrough isn't determined by when you think you deserve it or when society says you should achieve it. It's determined by when you've become the person capable of handling it sustainably. The universe isn't withholding your good from you. It's protecting you from receiving something before you're equipped to maintain it. Think about lottery winners who lose everything within a few years. They received the money before they develop it. Consider the mindset to keep celebrities who achieve massive success young and struggle with the pressure. They got the recognition before they built the inner stability to handle it healthily. Your delays are preventing these kinds of unsustainable outcomes. The version of success that's meant for you requires the version of you that you're still becoming. Not the you who's desperate to prove something, but the you who knows your inherent worth. Not the you who's competing with others, but the you who's so aligned with your authentic path that comparison becomes irrelevant. Not the you who's rushing toward an imaginary finish line, but the you who's fully present to the journey itself. This transformation, from striving to being, from forcing to allowing, from competing to creating, doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual shift that occurs as you release old patterns and embrace new ways of moving through the world. Every day you choose trust over anxiety, patience over rushing, authenticity over performance. You're becoming more magnetic to the life that's truly meant for you. The pressure you feel to speed up your timeline is actually slowing down your progress. It's creating resistance where there could be flow. It's generating anxiety where there could be excitement. It's fostering competition where there could be collaboration with the intelligence that's orchestrating your life. When you align with divine timing instead of fighting it, everything becomes easier. Not because challenges disappear, but because you stop creating unnecessary struggle through resistance. You start working with the current instead of against it. You begin to see obstacles as redirections rather than rejections. You recognize closed doors as protection rather than punishment. There's a profound peace that comes from surrendering your timeline to something larger than your individual will. It doesn't mean becoming passive or stopping your efforts. It means infusing your actions with trust rather than desperation. It means pursuing your goals while holding them lightly. It means showing up fully while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. This surrender is actually the most powerful thing you can do because it removes the energetic resistance that keeps your desires at bay. When you stop pushing so hard for things to happen on your schedule, you create space for them to happen on the schedule that serves your highest good. When tightly to your plans, you stop grasping so never could have planned. The most magical, you become available to possibilities moments in your life probably came when you weren't trying to make them happen. The best opportunities likely appeared when you'd stopped desperately seeking them. The deepest connections probably formed when you'd given up trying to find them. This isn't coincidence. This is how the universe operates. It responds to your being more than your doing. Your readiness isn't something you achieve through effort alone. It's something that emerges through a combination of action and surrender, striving and allowing, planning and trusting. It's the result of doing your part while letting the universe do its part. It's the outcome of planting seeds while trusting the soil, the rain, and the sun to do what only they can do. Every day you exist is a day you're becoming more ready for what's meant for you. Not just ready in terms of skills or knowledge, but ready in terms of character, wisdom, and capacity. Ready to receive without losing yourself. Ready to succeed without forgetting your values. Ready to achieve without sacrificing your humanity. The be person you'll when your breakthrough arrives won't be the same person who's reading these words right now. You'll be someone who's been transformed by the journey itself. someone who's learned to find fulfillment in the process rather than just the outcome, someone who's discovered that the timing was always perfect, even when it didn't feel perfect. Your story isn't behind schedule because your story is being written by an intelligence that sees the entire arc, not just the chapter you're currently living. From this expanded perspective, every delay serves the plot. Every detour adds depth. Every challenge creates character development that makes the eventual triumph more meaningful. The most beautiful stories aren't the ones where goes according to plan. They're the everything ones where the unexpected becomes the doorway to something better than what was originally planned. Your story is one of these beautiful stories, unfolding with perfect timing, according to a wisdom that knows exactly what you need and exactly when you need it. Right now, in this moment, you are exactly where you need to be. Not behind, not ahead, but precisely positioned for the next phase of your evolution. The question isn't when your breakthrough will come. The question is whether you'll recognize it when it arrives, whether you'll be present enough to receive it fully, whether you'll trust that it's perfect. Timing is absolutely. The breakthrough you're waiting for isn't coming from the outside. It's emerging from within you, cell by cell, breath by breath, choice by choice. Every moment you've spent feeling inadequate has been building something invisible but unshakable. Every time you've questioned your progress, you've been developing the very discernment that will guide you to opportunities others can't recognize. Here's what happens when you truly understand that you're not late. Your entire nervous system relaxes. The chronic tension of constantly measuring yourself against imaginary benchmarks dissolves. Your energy stops leaking out through comparison and starts concentrating into presence. This shift in your energetic state changes everything about how you show up in the world. When you're not rushing to catch up, you start noticing things others miss. Subtle opportunities that weren't visible when you were frantically scanning for the obvious ones. Connections that couldn't form when you were too busy networking to actually connect. Insights that could only emerge in the stillness you previously mistook for stagnation. The people who seem to effortlessly attract success aren't moving faster than you. They're moving from a different frequency entirely. They've learned to operate from sufficiency instead of scarcity. They've discovered that magnetic presence comes from being fully where you are, not from constantly reaching toward where you think you should be. This is why your timing is perfect. You needed every single experience that brought you to this moment of recognition. The years you spent thinking you were behind were actually years of accumulating the exact perspectives that will make your contribution unique. The skills you developed while feeling lost are precisely the ones that will set you apart when your moment arrives. Think about how wine develops its complexity. The grapes that struggle on rocky soil, that endure harsh weather, that take longer to ripen, these create the most sought-after vintages. They develop depths of flavor that couldn't exist without the challenging conditions. Your struggles haven't delayed your success. They've been creating the complexity that will make your eventual achievements extraordinary. But there's something even deeper happening here. The very fact that you feel called to something greater, that you sense there's more available to you, that you refuse to settle for mediocrity despite the pressure to do so, this isn't random restlessness. This is your soul recognizing its own potential. This feeling of not having arrived yet isn't evidence that you're behind. It's evidence that you're meant for something significant. Most people lose this calling. They allow the voice that says, "Be realistic," to drown out the voice that says, "Dream bigger." They let the pressure to conform override their instinct to create. They choose security over possibility, approval over authenticity, comfort over growth. The fact that you haven't given up on your vision, despite all the evidence that suggests you should, reveals something profound about your nature. You're not just someone who wants success. You're someone who's willing to become worthy of it. You understand intuitively that lasting achievement requires internal transformation, not just external manipulation. You know that getting what you want without becoming who you need to be leads to emptiness, not fulfillment. This wisdom that you've developed through waiting, through uncertainty, through periods of apparent stagnation, this is your competitive advantage. While others were optimizing for quick wins, you were developing sustainable excellence. While they were building impressive facades, you were constructing unshakable foundations. While they were collecting achievements, you were cultivating character. Be perfect, not because the of your success will timing aligns with your original plan, but because it aligns with your actual readiness. When your moment comes, you won't just be prepared professionally. You'll be prepared personally, emotionally, spiritually. You'll be someone who can handle success without losing their humanity, who can achieve without sacrificing their values, who can lead without forgetting where they came from. Consider how many child stars struggle as adults, how many overnight sensations burn out within years, how many people who peak early, rest of their lives, to recapture something they weren't mature enough to sustain. Your slower trajectory isn't a disadvantage. It's protection from these kinds of unsustainable outcomes. Every day, you don't get what you think you want. You become more of who you need to be to handle what you're actually meant to receive. Every delay develops patience. Every disappointment builds resilience. Every period of uncertainty strengthens your faith in something larger than your individual will. These aren't consolation prizes. These are superpowers that early success could never provide. The universe operates like a master teacher who knows exactly how much challenge each student can handle at any given time. Too little, and there's no growth. Too much, and there's overwhelm. The perfect amount, breaking, creates expansion without. Your life has been calibrated with this precision. Every challenge has been sized to your capacity to grow from it. Every opportunity has been timed to your ability to maximize it. This is why fighting your timeline is counterproductive. It's like a student arguing with a curriculum that's been designed specifically for their optimal development. The curriculum isn't wrong because it doesn't match what other students are learning. It's perfect because it addresses your unique, your individual potential starting point, your specific gaps. Your path has been customized for you, not just your talents and interests, but your wounds and your fears, your strengths and your blind spots, your dreams and your doubts. Everything about your journey has been taken into account by the intelligence folding. This intelligence that's orchestrating your UN doesn't make mistakes with timing because it sees variables you can't perceive and coordinates outcomes you couldn't orchestrate. When you truly grasp this, something shifts inside you. The anxiety about being late transforms into excitement about what's being prepared. The frustration with your pace becomes appreciation for your process. The comparison with others dissolves into curiosity about your own unique trajectory. You stop trying to speed up and start showing up more fully to what's already happening. This presence to your current toward your future goals reality, rather than constant orientation, creates a paradox. The more you inhabit where you are, the faster you seem to move toward where you're going. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're flowing with natural currents instead of swimming against them. Not because you're forcing outcomes, but because you're allowing them to emerge organically. The most successful people understand this paradox intuitively. They work hard, but they don't strain. They have goals, but they hold them lightly. They take action, but they trust the process. They prepare diligently, but they surrender the timeline. This combination of effort and ease, of intention and surrender, creates the conditions for what others call luck, but what's actually alignment. Your breakthrough is happening right now, not in some future moment when external conditions finally arrange themselves correctly, but in this present moment as you release the story that you're behind and embrace the truth that you're exactly where you need to be. This shift in perception is the breakthrough. Everything else flows from this recognition. When you stop seeing your current position as a problem to solve and start seeing it as information to integrate, your entire relationship with your life transforms. Your challenges become curriculum. Your delays become preparation. Your struggles become strength training. Your confusion becomes the space where clarity can emerge. Your emptiness becomes the void that creation fills. This doesn't mean you stop working toward your goals. It means you work toward them from a foundation of acceptance rather than resistance, from excitement rather than desperation, from trust rather than fear, from knowing that you are supported rather than believing you're alone. This energetic foundation changes everything about how your efforts are received by the field of possibility. The field responds to your state of being more than your actions. When you're operating from the frequency of, "I'm behind and I need to catch up," you attract experiences that confirm this story. When you shift to the frequency of, "I'm exactly where I need to be and everything is unfolding perfectly," you start attracting evidence of this truth instead. This isn't magical thinking. This is how consciousness interacts with possibility. Your beliefs about your timing become the lens through which you perceive opportunities. Your assumptions about your readiness determine which doors you notice and which ones you walk past. Your story about whether you're early, late, or perfectly on time creates the experiences that seem to validate that story. Right now, you have the power to change the story. Not by changing your circumstances, but by changing your relationship to your circumstances. Not by achieving something external, but by recognizing something that's already true. Not by becoming someone different, but by remembering who you actually are beneath all the conditioning that taught you to doubt your timing. You are not late. You never were late. You never could be late. You're unfolding according to a timeline that's far more intelligent than any human schedule. You're developing according to a curriculum that's perfectly suited to your soul's evolution. You're arriving exactly when your arrival will serve the highest good of everyone your life touches. The moment you fully accept this truth, everything changes. Your energy shifts from scattered to focused. Your actions flow from inspiration rather than desperation. Your presence magnetic because becomes you're no longer trying to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. This is when your real life begins. Not when you finally achieve your goals, but when you recognize that your timing has always been perfect. The pressure to accelerate, to catch up, to finally arrive at some imaginary destination where you'll feel worthy of your own life. This pressure is the very thing that keeps you from recognizing what's already available to you right now. It's like spending so much energy looking for your glasses that you can't see they're already on your face. Every moment you spend else, you're missing ishing you were somewhere, the profound intelligence of where you are. Every ounce of energy you invest in comparing your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 15 is energy that could be flowing into fully living your actual story. Every breath you waste on regret about your pace is a breath that could be expanding your capacity to receive what's coming. But here's what shifts everything. The recognition that your so-called delays have been developing something invisible but essential. While others were accumulating external achievements, you were cultivating internal resources. While they were building impressive resumes, you were building unshakable character. While they were optimizing for appearances, you were developing substance. Think about the difference between a house built quickly on shallow foundations and one constructed slowly on bedrock. The first might look impressive initially, but when the storms come, and they always come, which one survives? Your slower construction hasn't been inefficiency. It's been engineering for permanence. There's a specific quality that emerges in people who've learned to trust their own timing. They move with a different energy entirely. Not the frantic scrambling of someone trying to catch up, but the steady confidence of someone who knows they're exactly where they belong. They don't rush because they understand that presence is more powerful than speed. This quality is magnetic in a way that desperation never could be. When you're not chasing, you become worth pursuing. When you're not grasping, opportunities begin flowing toward you. When you stop broadcasting the frequency of, "I need this to happen now," you start resonating with the frequency that actually attracts what you desire. The universe has a peculiar relationship with urgency. The more desperately you need something to happen on your timeline, the more resistance you create to its natural unfolding. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom by pulling on its petals. Your impatience doesn't accelerate the process. It disrupts it. But when you learn to hold your desires with open hands instead of clenched fists, when you can want something deeply while remaining unattached to exactly how and when it arrives, you create the energetic conditions for miracles. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you've stopped interfering with the very forces that are trying to deliver what you've asked for. Consider how many times in your life the thing you wanted most desperately arrived, only after you'd found peace with not having it. How many breakthrough moments occurred, not when you were straining toward them, but when you'd finally relaxed into your current reality. This isn't coincidence. This is law works when. This is how creation you align with it instead of fighting it. Your nervous system holds the memory of every moment you felt behind, every comparison that left you diminished, every deadline you've imposed on your own becoming. These memories create a background frequency of anxiety that colors how you perceive every opportunity, every relationship, every possibility. But you can change this frequency. Every time you choose to see your current position as perfect preparation instead of inadequate progress, you're rewiring these patterns. Every moment you celebrate how far you've come, instead of focusing on how far you have to go, you're shifting your fundamental relationship with time itself. Every breath you take in full acceptance of this moment is a vote for a different way of being. This isn't about settling or giving up on your dreams. This is about pursuing them from a foundation of wholeness, rather than lack. It's about moving toward your goals because they excite you, not because you need them to feel complete. It's about creating from inspiration rather than desperation. The most profound transformations happen not when people finally get what they want, but when they discover they're already complete without it. This completeness doesn't eliminate desire, it purifies it. It transforms wanting from a desperate reaching into a joyful expansion. It changes goals from external validation into authentic expression. When you operate from this place of inherent completeness, your entire life becomes an overflow rather than an attempt to fill a void. Your work becomes contribution rather than compensation. Your relationships become celebration rather than completion seeking. Your achievements become expression rather than validation seeking. But this shift requires something that feels counterintuitive to everything you've been taught. You have to stop trying so hard to become someone else and start being more of who you already are. You have to release the version of yourself you think you should be and embrace the version that already exists. Most people spend their entire lives trying to become someone they think they should be, instead of discovering who they actually are. They chase self, an imaginary future, while neglecting their authentic, present self. They optimize for an external image, while ignoring their internal truth. They pursue goals that belong to someone else's vision, while abandoning their own. Your delays, your detours, your periods of confusion, these haven't been failures of becoming. They've been opportunities for discovering. Every time life didn't go according to plan, you had a chance to learn something about your actual preferences, your real values, your authentic desires. Every closed door revealed something about the doors you actually want to walk through. The person you're becoming isn't someone you have to construct from scratch. They're someone you have to uncover, layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment. They're not hiding in. They're emerging, some future achievement, through your willingness to be fully present to who you are right now, in this moment, with all your imperfections and uncertainties. This uncovering process can't be rushed because it requires a kind of deep listening that only happens in stillness. It demands a quality of attention that's impossible when you are constantly racing toward the next milestone. It needs space to breathe, time to unfold, permission to emerge at its own pace. Every spiritual tradition speaks of this same truth in different language. The Buddhists call it your Buddha nature, the inherent perfection that's always been present beneath the layers of conditioning. The Christians speak of being made in God's image, the divine essence that exists prior to any human accomplishment. The psychologists call it your authentic self, the core identity that remains constant through all external changes. Whatever you call it, this essential you has never been late. It's never been inadequate. It's never needed to catch up to anyone or anything. It simply needed the right conditions to reveal itself. And those conditions have been developing through every experience you've had, especially the ones that didn't match your timeline. Your authentic timing isn't determined by social expectations or cultural norms or peer comparisons. It's determined by your soul's curriculum, your consciousness's readiness, your being's natural rhythm. Some souls come here to learn quickly and leave early. Others come to develop slowly and contribute for decades. Neither path is superior. They're simply different expressions of the same intelligence. The relief that comes from accepting your natural rhythm is profound. It's like finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. It's like setting down a weight you didn't realize you were carrying. It's like coming home to yourself after a long journey of trying to be someone else. When you stop fighting your timing, you discover something extraordinary. You've been exactly where you needed to be all along. Not just in terms of external circumstances, but in terms of internal development. Every emotion you've felt, every lesson you've learned, every capacity you've developed has been precisely calibrated to prepare you for what's unfolding next. This preparation hasn't been random. It's been systematic, intelligent, purposeful. The skills you developed during your wandering years, the wisdom you gained through your struggles, the compassion you cultivated through your own suffering, these aren't accidents. They're equipment. They're tools you'll need for the work you came here to do. But you can only access these tools when you stop seeing your journey as a series of delays and start recognizing it as a series of installations. Every challenge installed new capacity. Every setback installed resilience. Every period of uncertainty installed faith. Every moment of isolation installed self-reliance. Every experience of loss installed appreciation. You're not the same person who started this journey. You're not even the person you were last year, last month, last week. You've been constantly evolving, expanding, becoming more of who you're meant to be. This evolution hasn't been visible to those around you, and it hasn't always been visible to you, but it's been absolutely real and absolutely necessary. The version of you that will achieve your goals isn't someone you need to become. It's someone you already are, waiting for the right moment to step forward. They exist right now, in this moment, complete with all the wisdom, skill, and character necessary for what's coming. They're not hiding in your future. They're emerging through your present. Every day you choose authenticity over performance, you allow this version to become more visible. Every moment you choose presence over rushing, you create space for them to emerge. Every breath you take, in full acceptance of your current reality, you align more completely with who you actually are, beneath all the stories about who you should be. The breakthrough you're seeking isn't a transformation into someone new. It's a recognition of someone who's always been there. It's not about becoming worthy. It's about remembering that you already are. It's not about earning your place. It's about claiming the space that's always been yours. This claiming doesn't require external permission or validation. It doesn't need anyone else's approval or understanding. It simply needs your own recognition, your own acceptance, your own willingness to stop apologizing for your timing and start celebrating it as the perfect preparation it's always been. Right now, in this moment, everything you need to take your next step already exists within you. Not everything you'll ever need. That will be provided as you go. But everything you need for what's immediately in front of you. This has always been true. This will always be true. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to trust that your readiness has been developing all along. The moment you truly accept that your readiness has been developing all along, something extraordinary happens. Your entire relationship with time shifts from linear anxiety to circular wisdom. You stop seeing your life as a race you're losing and start recognizing it as a spiral you're ascending. Each apparent return to familiar challenges reveals new layers of understanding, new depths of capacity, new dimensions of your own expanding consciousness. Think about how a master craftsperson approaches their work. They don't rush the process, because they understand that excellence emerges through patient refinement. Each stroke of the chisel, each layer of polish, each careful adjustment contributes to something that couldn't exist through hurried effort. Your life has been crafted with this same meticulous attention to detail, this same commitment to bringing forth something extraordinary. But here's what most people miss about mastery. It's not about perfecting techniques or accumulating credentials. It's about developing the sensitivity to know exactly what each moment requires. The master chef doesn't follow recipes. They respond to the ingredients, the temperature, the subtle signs that tell them when something is ready. Your life has been developing this same intuitive mastery, this ability to sense what's needed when it's needed. Every period of your life that felt like waiting was actually you developing this sensitivity. When external validation wasn't available, you learned to trust internal guidance. When obvious paths were blocked, you discovered hidden routes. When conventional wisdom failed you, you began accessing deeper sources of knowing. These weren't consolation prizes for being behind schedule. These were advanced degrees in the art of living authentically. Consider how a musician develops their ear. It's not through studying theory alone, though knowledge helps. It's through countless hours of listening, of feeling the spaces between notes, of recognizing the subtle tensions that create beauty. Your soul has been developing its ear for truth through every experience that didn't match your expectations, every moment that forced you to listen more deeply to what life was actually offering. This developed sensitivity is why your timing is perfect. Not because everything happens when you want it to, but because you've become someone who can recognize the music in moments that others might dismiss as silence. You've learned to find meaning in the pauses, purpose in the delays, intelligence in the apparent chaos. The people who seem to have perfect timing haven't avoided uncertainty. They've learned to dance with it. They haven't eliminated challenges. They've developed the capacity to find opportunity within them. They haven't mastered control. They've mastered the art of responsive flow. This is what you've been developing all along, even when it felt like you were just surviving. Your nervous system has been calibrating itself to handle higher levels of complexity, deeper levels of uncertainty, greater levels of responsibility. Every time you navigated a situation you felt unprepared for, you expanded your capacity to handle what you previously thought was impossible. Every challenge you survived added to your resilience reserves. Every period of confusion strengthened your ability to remain centered in ambiguity. This calibration process can't be rushed because your nervous system needs time to integrate each expansion. Like a deep-sea diver who must ascend slowly to avoid the bends, your consciousness has been rising gradually to levels of awareness and capability that would have overwhelmed your previous configuration. The pressure you felt isn't evidence of being behind. It's evidence of depth training. Most people live their entire lives at surface level, avoiding the pressures that develop real strength. They choose comfort over growth, certainty over expansion, approval over authenticity. But you've been willing to go deeper, to handle greater pressure, to develop capacities that only emerge under specific conditions. This willingness has been preparing you for contributions that surface dwellers simply cannot make. You are not late. You never were late. You never could be late. You're exactly where you need to be, becoming exactly who you're meant to be, at exactly the pace your soul requires. Stop apologizing for your timing and start celebrating it as the perfect orchestration it's always been. Your moment isn't coming. It's here, in this recognition, in this breath, in this choice to finally trust that everything has been unfolding exactly as it should.